I don't do shit scripted. So there's a problem with the GeoPro 15 TB spare tire holder that goes underneath the camper. On our last trip, I lowered it down to check the air pressure in the spare tire, and once I did that, I couldn't get the tire back up. So then I put the spare tire in the back of my pickup truck. Now I'm going to disassemble it and pull it out and see what happened to it, what went wrong, and see if I can't do something to fix it. So because we were heading on a trip the next day, what I did was just use a bunch of tie wraps, tie wrap it up and hold the tire holder up in place. So far that's worked. And what it looks like I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these 4 bolts out right here. There's 2 here and there's 2 over there on the other side. I'm going to pull those down, or pull those bolts out, take it down, and see if I can't take it apart in here and see what happened. I'm using a 9/16 wrench and a 9/16 socket to remove the bolts. Alright, I got the bolts removed on this side. And now it's time to go remove the bolts over here on the other side. Alright, I've got it out from underneath the camper. It did take a little bit of persuasion with a hammer, because you have to kind of twist it to get it from out in between the frame, and it fits in there pretty snug. But now what I'm seeing is there's not really any kind of access to any of the stuff inside. Got this bolt right here. And that looks about it. You got one hole here to access this crap. Then you got this other hole here, which I do notice that when you turn this here, when you turn this bolt, if you want to call it a bolt, this was what rotates. This is what moves back and forth to lower the tire. So let's see if we can tear into it and find out what the hell happened. Alright, so what I've done so far is I took a 3/4 inch ratchet. I spun this part here and it rotated the plastic piece that rides back and forth on there, kind of threaded it back down here, all the way back down this way. I got to here and I took the bolt out that's basically holding this shiv point in right here. You can see what happened is this pulled out of here. That's like the anchor point. So this slides, or this is rotating on this pin via the threads, and that's makes it go back and forth like this, which is pulling your cable around this piece back and forth. So now I'm going to figure out how I can try to anchor this piece back in like this, like it's supposed to be, and see if we can't figure out some way to keep it from coming out, because that's what happened. This pulled through here, it pulled out through here because the tire is so heavy. Try to see if you can see the damage in here on this. Right in there. See where that seats. I don't know that I'll be able to keep that from happening again. You can see there's really not much of a lip there anymore to really hold that flat end piece of that ferrule, and that's the problem. And here's the part number and the part, the date it was made, who made it, junk. This thing is junk. To use a 3/8 snap ring, we're going to fit it around the cable and around this anchor point so that it gives the anchor a little bit more surface area while fitting in there. And then also I found a 632 nut that when you put the anchor back into the plastic, we'll put the 632 nut in here like that, and that helps push the anchor back further back into the plastic, and you still have this flat profile on the side because that plastic has more surface area on it back there in the back side of it. With that 3/8 snap ring positioned around there, you can see how it gives the anchor more surface head or more surface, and how it sits in the plastic better. This thing focus. Now it has more coverage and I can't pull it out. Actually, before I put this on there, I could almost pull this anchor through here by hand. Now I can't try and even pull it through at all because that anchor, or because that snap ring sticks out so much. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that 632 nut on there anymore. The 3/8 snap ring actually protrudes out just a little bit from the plastic anchor, so I might be pretty good just by doing it like that. I have it all back together now. We've got this part back in there, we've got our bolt back through, the piece that's supposed to be on this rod is still back onto the rod. It turns back and forth, does like it's supposed to, raises and lowers. One thing is that I could not get the little 632 nut in there to help out, because I was kind of concerned about this little gap that you can see right here. But it's up there against it tight, so I'm going to put it back underneath the camper, get it bolted back in, and we'll see what happens from there. I have reinstalled it underneath the camper. And I'm about to go ahead and get the spare tire back out of the bed of my truck, hook to it, and raise it back up. Just a quick look to show you that it worked. I did kind of help it up there though. When I raised it up, I lifted up as much as I could with one hand and cranked it up with the other hand. And the more I got it up in place, the more I kept lifting with one hand to try and get it up there. So my advice would be to just, if you get it flat and you're on the side of the road, you just lower it down, and then you put the bad tire in the back of the truck. I wouldn't worry about trying to use it, put it back up on underneath the camper while you're on the side of the road. Or get your flat fixed or whatever, then you can put your spare back up underneath here when you've got the chance to do it and you're not in harm's way on the side of the road. One reason why I'm trying to make for sure that I get this thing back up underneath there is because when you're on the side of the road, this sucker here is heavy to try and be lifting out of the back of the truck. Now I know a lot of people are saying that when they had problems with it, they don't want to deal with it underneath the camper, so they're putting it in the back of the tow vehicle. But I'm of the opinion that we pay way too much money for this camper to not have it functioning like it's supposed to.